Okay, it started recording. Good morning, students. Okay, today we are going to discuss about the mining class comparisons, and that is discriminating between different classes. Okay, as we all know that in many applications, user may not be interested in having a single class. Okay, in many applications, user may not be interested in having a single class or a single concept, which is described or characterized, but he would rather prefer to mine a description that compares or distinguishes one class from other comparable classes. Okay, so he doesn't want to use what is there. Well, no, he doesn't require only a single class. He needs comparison between different classes because in that way he can improvise the data. So, class discrimination or comparison, which hereafter this class discrimination or comparison will simply denote as class comparison. So the class comparison means descriptions that distinguish a target class from its contrasting classes. In the last class we have discussed what is a target class, what is a contrasting class, isn't it? So the class comparison means the descriptions that distinguish a target class from its contrasting classes. So this discrimination can be done through the comparison. When he compares, he knows what is there and what is not there between the two classes. What are the similarities? What are the dissimilarities? Okay, and we have to notice that the target and contrasting classes must be comparable.
మేడం
Mm. Yes.
స్క్రీన్ వచ్చేసరికి మైనింగ్ క్లాస్ కంపారిజన్ మాత్రం ఉంది మేడం. ఏం చేంజ్ అవ్వడం? ఓకే మేడం.
Yes. I did not yet change it. Okay, I'm
ఓకే
giving you. Okay,
ఓకే ఓకే మేడం.
so the mining class comparisons means we talk about the discrimination between different classes. Discrimination and comparison are two similar words. Okay, so class comparison means it identifies the differences or the similarities between two classes. That comparison or discrimination, its aim is to identify the similarities between two classes. And here the class which from for which we are trying to compare with the other class, that is called as the target class. Okay, both, no, you should remember that the target and contrasting classes must be comparable in a sense that they share similar dimensions and attributes. So if you are selecting the target class, if you are selecting the contrasting class, both classes should be having the same signature, we can say. You should have same similar dimensions, you should have same similar number of attributes and similar type of attributes. Okay, if for example if you are taking three classes, person, address and item. Okay, if we are taking three classes, person, address and item, they are not comparable because person is different, address is different, item is different. Okay, so likewise if you are taking two classes, uh, those two classes should have the same number of attributes. Rather than saying same number of attributes, same type of attributes we should say. They should have similar features. Okay, so here comparison means comparing two or more classes. And here the method that we are going to follow is we will partition the set of relevant data into target class and the contrasting classes, which we have done it already. So we divide the classes based on the model that we want to achieve. Based on our requirement, we will partition the data into target class and contrasting class. Okay. Next, we will do the generalization process. In the generalization process, we will be able to maintain the same classes in the same high level. That in the same level, like both of them will have the same set of attributes. Their type of attributes will be similar. So in that way, they can be compared to each other. Next, we will compare tuples with the same high level descriptions. The tuples should also have the same descriptions. Next, present for every tuple its description and two measures. So whenever we are trying to compare two tuples, these two measures should be taken into consideration in order, in order to compare. So support means distribution within single class, whereas comparison means distribution between classes. Support should be, it is a measure that is compared from within a class, whereas comparison is done between different classes. Okay, so these two are the two measures that we have to identify, that we have to take into consideration whenever we are trying to compare two tuples. So while comparison, what we are going to highlight the tuples which are having the strong discriminant features. So whenever we find the tuples uh, mm, which are strongly discriminant with each other, so those tuples should be highlighted. Those tuples will given more importance, whether to take the decision whether they should be belong to the target class or they should be belong to the contrast class. That decision can be taken to the tuples which are having the more strong discriminant features. Okay, here we are going to apply the relevance analysis. What does in this relevance analysis? We will find attributes which best distinguish different classes. So the attributes, there will be one or two attributes which bring this discrimination. So we will find out those attributes. Okay. Okay. Here an example is given. And as we are going to do the analytical comparison, in this analytical comparison, first the task that is given to us is, we are going to compare the graduate students and undergraduate students using discriminant rule. Okay, so this is the query we are having, DML query. So here there is a university database. From that university database, we are going to retrieve the data, both contrast and target classes. So here, what are the comparisons we are going to get from the university database? Big university database, we are going to mine the graduate and undergraduate students. Okay, and what are the attributes set in relevance to, means what are the list of attributes that we are going to retrieve? Name, gender, major, birthplace, birth date, residence, and phone, GPA. And for graduate students, this is for graduate students, and we are going to name that as graduate students. And here from the database, where the status should be graduate, and for undergraduate students it should be undergraduate. Okay, so we are going to retrieve the data based on the graduate students and undergraduate students, where status in undergraduate, here where status in graduate. So for graduate students and for undergraduate students, here you see versus, which means that we are deciding this is the target class and this is the contrasting class. Okay. And how the analysis is done based on the count percent, which means that number of tuples that are existing below for one particular category graduation. See here we were having the science and the graduation students for the science and business, isn't it? Students who is in the science as their major and the business as their major. In that way, we are going to differentiate. Okay. So this mining class comparison is done like this. So we will analyze based on the number of tuples that are existing. Count percent decides the number of tuples that a student belong to, number of students that belong to the science category, number of students that belong to the graduate category, like that. So for graduation, science and business, if you are taking their as their graduation, number of students who is in science, number of students who is in business. Undergraduate students means number of students in undergraduate. Likewise, count percent is used. And from where are we retrieving this? From the student table. Okay, so this is the DML query to compare the graduate and undergraduate students. So here, what are the attribute names that are given? Gender, major, birthplace, birth date, residence, phone number, and GPA. Okay. So here, these are the attribute. We can say variables. We can say this is AI, UI, TI, and R. Each of them will have a specific importance. So, what are we doing here? Here, first, this particular query is transformed into two relational queries that collect two sets of task relevant data. As we have seen in the previous thing, one, it will retrieve the initial target class working relation, and the other for initial contrasting class working relation. Okay. So for the graduate and undergraduate students. And secondly, it does the dimension relevance analysis. This dimension relevance analysis can be performed when necessary on two classes of data. After this analysis, irrelevant or weakly relevant dimensions such as name, gender, birthplace, residence, and phone number are removed. And only highly relevant attributes will be included. Okay. And thirdly, what does it do is synchronized generalization. Synchronized generalization is performed. So here generalization is performed on the target class to the levels controlled by the user or the expert. It will form a prime target class relation. The contrasting class is generated to the same levels of those as those in the prime target class relation. Okay, so here we construct the prime target class and prime contrasting classes relation. So what happens? So the elimination process will be done here. Finally, what happens? The resulting class comparison is performed. The resulting class comparison is presented in the form of tables or graphs. That is nothing but this visualization for the data. Okay, that visualization includes this count measure. Okay, so comparing between the two target classes, how much amount of graduate students majoring in science, or how much amount of students, undergraduate students are there. Okay, so here these are the AI stands for concept hierarchies on attribute. Number of attributes are there. What are the concept hierarchies that are involved on attribute AI? UI is nothing but attribute analytical threshold. For this particular attribute, what is the analytical threshold we are giving? TA stands for the generalization threshold, attribute generalization threshold, whereas R stands for the attribute relevance threshold. Okay, so keep this in mind. We'll come back to this later. So here in the analytical comparison, the first task is data collection, then attribute relevance analysis, then synchronous generalization. So data collected and target and contrasting classes are divided. So graduate and undergraduate. Target class is graduate class and the undergraduate class is contrasting class. Next, attribute relevance analysis. What do we do? Well, out of the list of attributes available, we removed name, gender, major, and phone number because they are irrelevant for our processing. Next, synchronous generalization. Synchronous generalization means based on the user specified threshold, attribute analytical threshold, attribute generalization threshold, attribute relevance threshold. So based on the user controlled or user specified dimensions or thresholds, the data is generalized. And here, what do we do? After removing the attributes that which are irrelevant for us, we construct the prime target class, prime contrasting classes. Okay, and then this will be our prime generalized relation for the target class, and this will be the prime generalized relation for the graduate contrasting class. For this is our target class is graduate students and our contrasting class is undergraduate students. Anyway, we have constructed the students and their age based on their GPA. Okay. So here this visualization includes a contrasting measure, that is count percent, that compares between the target class and the contrasting class. For example, here some 5 point something, some value is percent is given here. So this particular value of the graduate students majoring in science are between 26 years to 30 years of age and have a good GPA. While we are having another value 2.32 or some other 0.68 of undergraduate students have the same characteristics. So here first relation we are having, in the first tuple we are having in the first relation, birth country is Canada, age is but between 20 to 25 and GPA is good. What is the count? 5.53%. So this 5.53% of the graduate students majoring in science, we can say, majoring in science are between 20 to 25 years of age and they have the good GPA. And their birth country is Canada. So likewise here, there is a student from Canada. There are students from Canada whose age range is between 15 to 20 and their GPA is can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So here the in the undergraduate students, we are having the students whose birth country is Canada and his age is between 15 to 20 and his GPA is fair. The number of students with this particular age range, with that particular birth country, with that particular GPA are 5.53% among the available data set that we have collected from the university database. Okay, likewise, our graduate students and the undergraduate students both target and contrasting classes respectively should have the same features. Okay, and once they are constructed, the target and the contrasting classes are constructed. The prime generalized relations for the target class, a prime generalized relation for the contrasting class is constructed. Then what do? We will do the either drilling or other OLAP operations. That is drill down, roll up, and other OLAP operations will be performed on the target and contrasting classes. So these particular operations will be performed on these particular classes based on the necessity of the user, because you have to adjust, the user has to adjust the abstraction levels of the final class description. So in order to make the final description, these drilling down and the OLAP operations will be performed. And once this drilling down or OLAP operations, what do? You will retrieve the elements of the data that are needed for the presenting. So once they are retrieved, that particular final task of presentation will come into place. So what does the presentation means? Presentation can be, it can be a graph. The data will be presented in the form of graphs or tables, which is more user understandable form. So how can the class comparison or the class comparison description can be presented? As with the characterizations, class comparisons can be presented to the user in various forms. It can be generalized relations, it can be crosstabs, it can be bar charts, it can be curves, it can be cubes, cuboids, and many things. In whichever way user prefer it to be presented, it can be presented. Okay, so as generalized relations or crosstabs, in whichever way user wants, it can be presented. Okay, and this will be done based on the contrasting measures to reflect comparison between target and contrasting classes. So that the the reflections, it should be reflect, the presentation should reflect the changes that are there between the target class and the contrast class. So those changes should be reflected. Like this contrast, in this particular contrast class, there is a student, there are a list of students which we are whose age is between 15 to 20, and um, their birth country is Canada, and their count is between 5.53%. Total number of students belong to this, whereas people who are born from Canada, but the age category is 20 to 25, and they are graduates from science as their major, and their count is from some 5.53. Likewise, we are able to compare between each other. That contrast can be reflected through this count. So that reflecting comparison measures should be presented in your presentation. In that way, they can make the differentiation. Okay. So here, in order to make that presentation versatile, they are going to use the quantitative discriminant rules. So here CJ means the target class, QA means a generalized tuple. Okay, so here we are going to calculate the D weight. Okay, as similar with the characterization descriptions, the discriminative features of the target class and contrasting classes of a comparison description can be described quantitatively by a quantitative discriminant rule. So we use this quantitative discriminant rule, which it will associate a statistical interestingness measure. In order to identify that interestingness measure, we are going to find the quantitative discrimination rule. So this quantitative discriminant rules will provide us the information about the discriminative features of the both target and contrasting classes based on the comparison that we have described. So this quantitative rule is important because in that way we can find out the interestingness value between the two classes, and that interestingness measure we are calling it here as D weight. Okay, it is having the target class and QA as their generalized tuple that will cover. So this is the generalized tuple which covers some tuples of the target class. Some tuples means generalized tuples, we can say. Okay, so QA, you cannot say that only it covers some of tuples of the target class. It can also cover some tuples of the contrasting class as well. Okay, next, the D weight for the QA ratio of the number of tuples from the initial class working relation that are covered by the QA to the total number of tuples in both the initial target class and the contrasting class. Okay, so formally we will represent the D weight of QA for the CJ classes, target class CJ is defined in the range 0 to 1, and the formula that is given for the D weight is like this. Count of Q to the base A. There is a gap here. Q to the base A. QA belongs to CJ divided by summation of count of QA belongs to CA, which means that the number of tuples which QA here M stands for the total number of target and contrasting classes. So here the QA is nothing but the number of tuples or some set of tuples that covers the target class as well as the contrasting class. So the count of those number of tuples that are covering the target class and the sum of all those tuples that are covering the count of the sum of all those count covering the target class. So here CJ is the target class and here we are having the class CI. Okay, so CJ is between 1 to M. So this is M is the total number of target and contrasting classes, whereas I is between 1 to M. So total number of target and contrasting classes, whereas CJ belongs to only target class. Okay, I think I'm clear. So we are going to identify the number of tuples from the target class divided by the number of tuples belong to the both target and contrast class. This M includes both the values, both the classes, target and contrasting classes. Okay. Next, the range for the D will be always between 0 to 1. Here it is given between 0 to 1. Either it can be between 0.0 to 1.0 we can say, or between 0% to 100% we can say. In whichever way we want we can say. This range, D weight range is always between 0 to 1 only. Okay. A high D weight in the target class indicates that the concept represented by the generalized tuple is primarily derived from the target class. Okay, the high D weight value. The more D weight value in the target class, it will indicate that the concept represented by the generalized tuple is primarily derived from the target class. Whereas a low D weight value implies that the concept is primarily derived from the contrast class. Based on the D weight value, we are going to identify whether the concept is derived from the target class or the concept is derived from the contrasting class. High value indicates it is derived from the target class. Low value indicates that it is derived from the contrasting class. Okay. And we can also set a threshold. A threshold can be set to control the display of interesting tuples based on the D weight value. Okay. So that anyway, that is not part of our syllabus. If it is there, we'll discuss that. So next we'll go to the quantitative discriminant rule. So quantitative discriminant rule based on the generalized tuple and the counter distribution that we got from the D weight measure, a quantitative discriminant rule for the graduate students, that is the target class, can be written as follows. For all X, target class, see this gap is not there, CLAS is class of X. And the condition is for the target class and the D weight is D weight measure. So here what are we trying to do is, for the target class, we are going to find out the students who are in the, here we can give the condition like this. Look at this, just come to this. Quantitative discriminant rule that is given here is for the graduate students. We are going to find out the birth country, Canada, and the age should be between 25 to 30 and GPA is good. What is the measure that we are going to have here? The D weight measure. It is 30%. Okay, it is calculated. So 90 by 90 plus 210 is nothing but 90. What is the formula we are having? Count of the target class and the count of both the target and the contrasting class. So we identified it to be 30% based on the count of target class plus count of the contrasting class. When they are summed, we got 90 by 90 plus 210, which means 300. 90 by 300 is nothing but 30% of graduate students are there. Okay, with the birth country as Canada and the age range between 25 to 30 and the having a good GPA. So here what did we do? We wanted a target class to be the condition X. What is the condition we have given? And the D weight, what is given? So we wanted the target class. We want the target class to be graduate students and the birth country. Here, whatever the syntax that is given based on the condition. What is the condition that we have given? What is the D weight we have given here? This is the condition and this is the D weight we are giving. Okay. Next. Class descriptions. The quantitative characteristics rule. This is the syntax of the quantitative characteristics rule and quantitative discriminant rule, quantitative description rule. Each of them are necessary and sufficient for the class description. Okay. There should be a target class and the condition for the target class. along with the T weight. This quantitative characteristics rules contains, whereas quantitative discriminant rule contains the target class along with the condition for the target class, but here we are going to have the D weight, not the T weight. And it is sufficient for the quantitative discriminant rule. Whereas for the class description, quantitative description rule, what does it includes? It includes the target class and the condition, T weight and D weight. Okay, it is having multiple options here, which are necessary and sufficient for the class description. So this is the example for the quantitative description rule. So here we are given T, count, T weight and D weight for the, this is the sales database that we obtained from the all electronics database. This can be say sales information. The sales information is represented like this along with the T count, T weight and D weight. So for particular country Europe, for particular country North America and both regions. For Europe, what is the count of sales and what is the T weight and what is the D weight? And for computers, what is the count, what is the T weight, what is the D weight? And for both the items together, the count is 320 and the T weight is 100%, D weight is 32%. Likewise, for both the regions, TV, the count is 200, T weight is 20%, D weight is 100%. Likewise, for both the items, for both the regions, 100%, 100% is the measure that we are having. So this is the cross tab representation. Remember yesterday in the previous class we have discussed about the cross tab representation. How do you represent multiple data, multiple measures for values for the attribute can be represented here. So this is the cross tab showing associated T weight and D weight values and total number of items sold for all electronics database in the year 1998. So an example rule is given here, quantitative description rule for the target class. What is this example rule is that for the Europe target class, for the Europe, so the for the relation, in the given relation, we are going to retrieve the data for the Europe. In the country Europe, what is the item we are selecting? TV we are selecting. For the TV, what is the T value, what is the D value? And for the along with that item, what is the another item that you are going to select and what is its corresponding T weight and D weight? Remember in the previous thing we have seen this. For the quantitative description rule, we can have multiple conditions and their T value and D value. So condition 1 and this is condition n. Multiple conditions are there. So likewise for the target class, our target class is the Europe. And for Europe, I'm going to identify. This is the sales information about Europe on two particular items, TV and computer. So with this, we have completed the class comparison. Okay. If you have any doubt, these are the topics we have completed: characterization, comparison, generalization approach for attribute-oriented induction, analytical characterization, in which we have done the analysis of attribute relevance, and binding class comparisons. So with this binding class comparisons, I have completed the chapter. And this is the textbook we are following. And these slides are from this textbook only. If you have any doubts, you can ask. Thank you. Any doubts? Nagarjuna, you can ask me a doubt.
Ma'am.
Yes, you can ask me a doubt.